again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. It feels alright.
Good morning, welcome back to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and delighted to welcome Lee Clark back to the show for a bit of pre-match patter. How are you, Lee?
I'm good, Steve. Great to be back on after a little bit of a break.
Yeah, great to see you, mate. And my first question, which is what I'm sure most people want to know, is how's Bobby getting on at Liverpool? We've seen a couple of appearances. We've seen him breaking into the first team, which has been great. How is Lee? How is he doing, Lee?
Yeah, it's going great, Steve. It's just over a year now since he made the move, and it couldn't have gone any better. 17 years of age, made his Premier League debut. And obviously been on the bench for a couple of other games as well, in and around the first team, training regular with them, and then obviously experiencing playing in the Champions League for the under-19. So yeah, he's getting a great education in terms of the level of football he's playing at. The manager thinks highly of him, which is fantastic news. And as I said, couldn't have gone better. He's at the start of a very high ladder, and especially the club he's at. But it's gone great, and he's playing regular. If you had said, like, when he first signed a year down the line, what would have been the ambitions? It would have been, because under 23 football was still around then. It's now under 21s. You would have said, well, if he get into regularly playing for the 23s at 17, that would be a great achievement at that club. But it progressed so quickly, and he obviously played in the Papa John's last season under 21s, went up and trained with the first team quite a bit, and then went on pre-season tour with the first team. Obviously showed up well in that, and was on the bench for the Crystal Palace and Manchester United games without getting on, and obviously made his debut against Bournemouth. So, and then and as I said, been competing in the Champions League and back down with the 21s, playing in that. So it's been a great start, but that's all it is at the moment, to start. And so really happy. He seems settled, seems happy in the environment, and so that's the main thing.
Big move, isn't it, going away from home at such a young age, Lee?
Absolutely, it's something I never wanted to do. I never felt I wanted to do it. Never felt I could do it at that time when the opportunities arose. One, I didn't want to do it, but two, I didn't think I could. He's handled it particularly well, and a lot. The credit has to go to the football club as well, because they spend a lot of time on, when Bobby first went down, putting him in with a good family down there, to get him used to the area and just settled in so he can focus on the football. And now he's obviously down there himself with his own house and stuff, making sure everything's right for him. So, and it's been too good, because obviously I know the ups and downs of the game. So, you're expecting a down to be coming, and how he handles that. So you just got to make aware and be ready for that scenario, because it's all been an upward trajectory at the minute.
Has he inherited anything from you, Lee? Like temperament, or is there anything that stands out that people say that's just like his dad?
He's a little bit of a hothead, I've got to say, in terms of opponents. Yeah, I'd like to say, and I think he has. He's inherited my work ethic and my attitude. I think that was a big asset of mine. I think any fan of any club that I played for would say that I give absolutely maximum every game, whether I was playing well or whether I didn't. And that's all I ever say to him before the game when I wish him luck. I say the technical and tactical side can look after itself. Just make sure you're the hardest working player on the pitch, which I think he's taken that on board. He's got a great attitude to that. Because I think any football fan anywhere in the world, but especially in England, if they see a player who gives absolutely everything every game, they will excuse the one or two indifferent performances, because there's not many players, if any, can go every single game and be on top of that game. But there's any kind of player can give absolutely everything every game, and hopefully that's what he's inherited. And so he's taller than me. He's quicker than me, which was never going to be a difficult one to overcome. And I personally believe at the same age he's a far superior player to me. So we'll see.
Excellent. It's exciting stuff, and it must be a proud thing for you to go, just to go and watch him play, and that first team debut. I mean, did you manage to get there? Because I know when we do a lot of these, after dinner speaking and talk-ins, etc., it's one of the things that often comes up. I did one with Pedro last night across in North Shields, and his mum and dad didn't get to his debut because he was literally told at the last minute. There was no mobile phones back in those days. Telegrams, I think, were the way people communicated, he said. But, I mean, did you manage to get down for his debut or not?
I did. I got to his first game on the bench, which was Crystal Palace, which was a Wednesday night game. I was actually in France when I found out, so I quickly organised a flight, a route. It wasn't direct. I had to go via Dublin, and I obviously on my flight from Dublin to Liverpool was just full of Irish Liverpool fans. So who had recognised us and were asking, he knew the situation with Bobby, and I was explaining to them that he was going to be on the bench that night. It was the night when Nunes got sent off, unfortunately. So that really wasn't really going to be a chance for Bobby to get on the pitch then when Liverpool were needing of a result and down to 10 men. It became difficult, and he got sent off quite early in the game. And then obviously he was at Old Trafford in the Manchester United Liverpool game. And then I was down obviously at Bournemouth when he was sub. So and then when I knew when the goals were flying in, there's not going to be any better opportunity than for him to get his debut in this game. And I was continually looking around at the dugout to see what the actions were of Jurgen and his staff, because obviously being in that position myself. And when I seen Jurgen turn around and point to Bobby, I knew it was coming on. He was coming on. It was an unbelievably proud moment. Very, very proud, but very, nervous. Wanted to go on and show and he did. And when I heard afterwards what Jurgen had said to him and just said, go and just be yourself, do what you want. Don't worry about getting tackled or making a mistake. Do what you do in training, do what you do with the under 21s and the under 19s. And it was great. It was great man management. And it was good because if a close friend of his, Stefan Bajcetic, who Bobby, when he first went down, lived with Stefan in this family home that they used to get the lads settled in. They came on together to make their Premier League debuts, and they become close, and Stefan, it was great that they could do that. Then obviously the stories after the game, that became a little bit crazy, that 17 year previous to the day me and James Milner had played in the Premier League together, and 17 years later James and my son had played in the Premier League together. So, and then obviously the opposition manager being Scott Parker, who played in that game also, and the guy who done the match of the day commentary, Jermaine Jenis, played in that game also. So crazy stats that came flying from the match.
It's mental, isn't it? These days how that. But I'm really pleased you got down to see him on his debut. That would have meant a lot to him as well. I mean, what was his feelings after that? I mean, obviously you'll have had a chat with him. I mean, was he nervous? Was he excited, or was it a bit of both?
No, I think he loves it. I think he's thriving on it. He doesn't show a lot of nerves, I've got to say. And obviously he was sky high afterwards. I couldn't stay down after the game. Me and my oldest son Jack, we had to drive back, but we were in constant touch with him. Jack was while I was driving, and it just gone into overdrive, as you can imagine, his social media, etc. And just everybody being very, very complimentary, getting lots of messages myself. And then obviously these type of stats were coming up, and Jack was relaying them to me, and it was good. It was an unbelievable weekend. Something that I've got, as I said at the start, we didn't expect. We dreamt of that. We didn't expect just over a year after he had signed, but we knew. I knew when Bobby had made that decision that he was going to a club where manager was working at a massive club that expected to win trophies, but he was never a manager who was afraid to not give youngsters a chance. And there was a pathway at the football club for the young players to get from the academy into the first team. And I think that was one of the main reasons Bobby decided that was the club for him. And it's proved right so far. Still a lot of work to do, you know, of course. I mean, it has been a tough Premier League season for Liverpool, but we still look at the players. I mean, I was obviously up in Glasgow to watch Bobby in the afternoon play Rangers in the Youth Champions League, and stayed up on the night time to go to Ibrox. And you see when they fire on all cylinders, they do still have some world-class players. And like any club at the top, they do come in cycles, and that, you know, you do have to keep changing the group, and that's probably something Liverpool will be looking at doing in the next year or two. But it's still a great squad, you know. They've had a tough start, but it's getting harder because look, you know, you see the clubs that are coming into that area now, and obviously ourselves are coming in to challenge those clubs now as well. So it's not just about the top 5 or 6 that it used to be. There's other clubs trying to get involved in that.
Yeah, it's a big week for Newcastle. We'll come to that in a moment. I just want to ask you your memories on this man, and it's a big happy birthday to Andy Cole, a guy who you became really good friends with when he was at St James's Park. Legendary time as well. I mean, not the longest spell by any means for a number 9, but boy, did he make a massive indent on our history, and should never be forgotten. First man to beat, you know, Hughie Gallagher's record, over 40 goals in a season. Fantastic. But yeah, memories of Andy Cole, mate.
Well, first of all, just to say, you know, like you said, he wasn't here a long time, but he made a huge impact. His goal ratio and his goal record, goals to games, was phenomenal. Talk about a player who accepted the number 9 jersey and didn't feel any pressure in it. He was that. And, you know, ultimately, he moved to the only bigger and better club at that time, the Newcastle United, and which was a decision for him personally that was proved right in terms of the trophies he won. But I think, yeah, I mean, it soured a little bit because of some reactions he'd done in certain situations at Man United. But I still think everyone deep down, you know, I think Newcastle fans of that era who watched him regular knew that we had a phenomenal talent on our hands. So, and it was going to be, you know, he was really one of the top number 9s we've had, in a list of some fantastic number 9s that the club's had in that iconic jersey. So I'll be seeing him soon. He'll be coming up to my 50th birthday party. So, which I think that might shock a few fans, especially the ones who remember us watching this, and they'll be thinking, wow, how old am I if Lee Clark's 50? So
exactly, yeah. I turned 50 before you as well, mate. So I'm sympathising with you, mate, 100%. It's but listen, it's only a number, Lee. It's only a number. When you look as young as us,
it's funny. I was went to get my hair cut that day, and the guy was like talking, and everyone's buzzing about the current team and the setup and the club, the way it is in general. Everybody's got a spring in their step, and rightly so. And just got saying, you know, still always the favourite era was the entertainers era. And I just said, the guy cut me hair, well, I'll make you feel old. I'm a couple of weeks' time, I'm 50. So if you were in the terraces watching us, you must be a bit of an old man. It's funny now with the kids. It's usually well, sometimes it's not even the dads. Sometimes the dads are too young to remember us. It's the granddads.
If you want to get your questions in, get them in. We'll ask Lee a few. Geordie Tooperlight's put one in. He says, I saw Lee do a talking at the Benedictine Club at Cramlington. He was on crutches at the time and he came into the bar wanting to play pool without the names on the board. Can Lee remember the talking?
I've done many around, but yeah, of course. I like them nights. I like to interact with the fans on the current topics of obviously the time when I played and stuff like that. So it's better now. It's easier to talk about it because we're in a great place as a club. And, you know, obviously over the last few years, it's been difficult. It's been difficult to try and put a positive spin on the club by what had happening. So, you know, I see a massive difference all around. There's loads of aspects of the football club that have changed for the better, and it's long may it continue. Well, I think it will. I'm so excited, like every other fan, about what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard from the owners this week, and we've discussed it on this platform most nights. You know, obviously we heard from Al Ramayan. An email went out to all season ticket holders, which was covered in the press. Then we heard from Darren Eales, Dan Ashworth, and you know, they're getting the infrastructure right behind the scenes, as well as the players on the pitch, which of course we know will take time with financial fair play regulations. But were you impressed with what you heard from those guys this week?
Well, first of all, what I was impressed with straight away was there's communication from the supporters, from all aspects, from the actual chairman, from Darren Neils, from Dan Ashworth, and there's clarity. There's talk of the thinking about they want to expand St James's, and they might have to do that with potential naming rights or etc. But they want to know the fans' thoughts on that. They're not going to go ahead with doing anything without the fans' thoughts. And the expectation behind that was what the fans will understand was, Dan Ashworth's terms was, we can't just keep spending 200 million of the owner's own money. Some of it has to come from revenues, and we want to build our own young players. We want to go to the best clubs and take away their best young players for small fees. Even $1 million or $2 million in today's world is nothing. But if you're going to a club and taking away their best players, and those are the fees, like we've done with the boy from Australia and stuff like that, and because they've talked about wanting to develop, wanting to bring through 3 or 4 or 5 youngsters to supplement the signings and the players that have been made, So I think, and it's saying that it's not practical financially for the club to keep spending, as I said, 200 million every window without any revenues coming in. And they know that the potential there to get, now that the club is up and running again, there'd be sponsors clamouring, I would have thought, to have a piece and want to be a part of the future. In the expansion of St James's Park, I watched Eddie, his press conference, and I echo what he was saying, is that we've got to stay at St James's. It's hard. I know clubs have made the move, but we've got to find a way of staying at St James's, but being able to make it bigger and better, and the match day experience even better than it is. But which will be difficult, because the match day experience now is phenomenal, from going into city centre before the game, leading up, making the walk up to St James's Park, the war flags, situation 20 minutes, 15 minutes before kick-off, the atmosphere during the game, the support for the players, the quality of the players on the pitch, and afterwards, win, lose or draw, the supporters are knowing that things are going forward. And I think that's been the key for me. I think it's been the realisation of the fans that haven't, you did get at the start with talk Kylian Mbappe and Lionel Messi will be there, but I think everyone's realised that, and there's been a bit of reality and a structure from the club. When you look at the players that have been brought in, they've been brought in to do a specific job. The first batch of players were here to help the club stay in the league. They've done that and more. But also what they've done, they showed they could be a part of the future. And like me and you've talked about as well, the players that were already here have improved. They've jumped on that bandwagon. They've looked like they're enjoying it. That's probably a massive plus point in Eddie and his coaching staff to say well done to them, because they've obviously coached the players that were here, and some were having question marks against them whether we were good enough. But lots of them have improved so much, they're showing that they are good enough to carry on. And then the batch of players that came in the summer have kicked on that improvement in standard again. So I think you're seeing, gradual, I think, and the club are doing it. But what they're doing is they're explaining to the fans what's going on. So there's a clarity. And I think that's what's helping the fans, not go overboard and be, expectations going too high too quickly. And I think that's why it's working in tandem so well. And it just shows you when you communicate as well as they have, it can work. And obviously major appointments in huge positions. Darren Neils at Atlanta United in the MLS, he made that franchise huge. I don't know if everyone's ever seen that stadium. It's absolutely unbelievable, packed to the rafters. Obviously took them to winning the title there. Dan Ashworth I've dealt with very closely on many occasions. He's top draw. To get him in as your director of football or sporting director, whatever the title, it was a massive thing. That the success that is happening around the FA now with all the different England teams, the men's, the Lionesses, the young teams, that was all started when Dan got put in there as technical director, and he went and wanted to make sure this English football DNA was put in place from all the teams, from the youngest international team all the way to the men's and the women's, and that's bearing fruition now. And so we've got massive people, great people, successful people in those specific roles. That's only going to help. And we've got a manager who's been terrific since he arrived.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a great journey so far, and it's only just beginning. We'll take a few of your questions. There's a few coming in now, and Tom Dixon says, "What are your thoughts on Eddie Howe so far, and where do you think Newcastle will finish in the league this season?" Thoughts on Eddie Howe?
My thoughts on Eddie are what I've just said, and I'll repeat it. I think when he got brought in, I think there was a little bit of unfair media and talk that he was just a stopgap. He was an experienced Premier League manager who could get us through the first couple of years, and then we would go for the so-called big name, which always doesn't work. I think Eddie's shown that with the resources and the backing. He understands the game very well. He's a very, very good coach. You can see that, as I've said, he's coached the new players very well. But obviously the players that were already here, he's brought some of them back to life. He's improved some of them beyond recognition. Sean Longstaff's come back. He's improved him. Emil Kraft had looked a completely different player before his injury. The change he made with Joelinton is just something that'll go down in football folklore. Here was a player that it would probably not be unfair to say was probably ridiculed when he was playing as a striker, and has now turned into a powerhouse of a central midfield player and doing a terrific job. So there's loads of examples. His recruitment has been outstanding. Every single player has made a contribution, whether the lads who came in January or the lads in the summer. Everyone has made a contribution somewhere along the line. Some have made bigger contributions, of course, but others have still done the business. And the results and the quality of the team and the intensity. And what I love about him, which is why I've got a really confident feeling about tomorrow. I've come up against Eddie, and I've said this to you, and I've said it to many people. He was always a manager that played on the front foot. He was always a manager that played in a positive way. And he's done that. He went to Anfield and done that. The team were very unlucky. Some dubious officiating stopped the club, the teams getting at least a point. They were outstanding against Manchester City at St James's. And I've got no doubt they'll go to Old Trafford tomorrow and be on the front foot again. So we'd had a time where we played what the modern term for it is the lower block, which is basically sitting back and trying to stop any space in behind. We've done that. We kept doing it at St James's for many, many years against your Man Cities and your Liverpools and the so-called big 4 or 6. And we were still conceding goals and we're still getting heavy defeats. Yes, we had the odd win. We beat City, I think 2-1 under Rafa. But we still were getting, certainly under Steve, there were still goals getting shipped in. The goalkeepers were the man of the match in those games. They were still getting peppered the goal. So why not try and take them on and have a go at them? Because, these teams, and especially the defenders, because they're always having a lot of possession and they don't get asked many questions, you don't know how good defenders they are, because they don't really have to do a lot of defending, because teams who sit back don't have the opportunity to break. But I think what Newcastle have shown is, they can be tested and you can get results. So, and I think that's one of the real positives that Eddie's brought to the football club. The fans know, especially at St James's, we're going to go and take people on. But even at Anfield, he done exactly the same. And even in the loss, yes, the fans were frustrated at Anfield. They knew it was, as I said, dodgy officiating that cost them to get a result. But even in the loss, the fans knew that, yeah, this is the right way to go about it. We've lost the game, but at least we've took it to Liverpool, and the same with Manchester City. And I've got, as I said, this is why I'm excited. And I personally think we go there tomorrow and we win.
Yeah, it's a big game, and we'll look at that in the second half of the show. Geordie Toomberley says, where does Lee see Newcastle in 5 years' time?
Oh, wow. If they keep going at the rate they're going to be challenging. Like they said, the ambitions they've got is to win trophies and to be in Europe. And I think in 5 years' time, that's very doable. by the way the club's changed in such a short period of time, just over a year. So I think you're talking another 5 years, and you know that's another 10 transfer windows. It's so exciting to think about it. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, because there will be little bumps in the road, and anything that you're doing, when you do positive things, you do get a little blip here and there. But no, I think the way the club are set up, the way they talk about things, and for me, the talk's cheap. It's about actions, and they've done both. They've come out and spoke to the fans, they've communicated, but they've delivered. That's the big thing. They've delivered, and everything they say or do, you see there's a passion there. I think they're even, you know, becoming the Dr. Geordies, all of them. They love it. I think you can see the excitement before and after games with them, the new ownership group, and everyone's loving being a part of it. And in 5 years' time, well, yeah, why not challenging again to be the best team in the Premier League, as the ambitions of the owners and have already been stated out in the public domain, to win trophies and get in Europe.
100%. Okay, Emmett says, Lee, what's your thoughts on ASM? He's a debated topic on NUFC matters. He certainly is. He's a bit of an enigma. We've had plenty of these in the past. You know, Lauren Robert, Ben Arthur spring to mind in recent years. And ASM is no different. A talismanic player when we were struggling under Ashley. Now, you know, has some world-class players alongside him. And injuries have been a little bit frustrating this year for him so far. But when he has played, he seems to have gone to a different level with the players around him. So what's your thoughts on him, Lee?
My thoughts, he's an exceptional talent. And with exceptional talents, you do get ups and downs. You do get scenarios where they are, you know, can frustrate you just as much as delight you. You know, that's the way it is. But I've got to say, I think I totally agree with what you're saying. I think he's enjoying playing with the squad now, with the signings that were made have made us better, but also the lads that were already here have improved as well. So he's basically playing in a better squad. For me, he gave his best overall performance in a black and white shirt against Manchester City. I thought he was outstanding with and without the ball. That goal he scored against Wolves was probably only him could do it. A sensational goal. And we've talked about him many times. I mean, when he first come, we used to say and I used to say personally, I was worried about him getting fatigued because everything seemed to have to go through him for us to be an attacking force. But I think he's enjoying now the quality of players that are coming in, and as I said, the players that were already here, the improvement they have made. And what I'm looking forward to, you know, I know he's come back, and you've got Alexander Isaac and Shelby to come back. And the way I look at it is, I look at the bench then, and I look at the strength we're going to have on the bench, like the players we had that came on last week, St. Maximin, Matt Target. You know, you've got all these players that it's just we can be so strong if we can keep everyone fit, and those lads that are coming back, as I said, from the long-term injuries. Alexander Isaac, obviously not such long-term, but when he gets back, and Shelby's obviously been out most of the season, get him. You're looking at players then, you know, you're looking at his bench. And Joelinton, last couple of games, been on the bench. He's been fantastic before that, do you know what I mean? So what the manager's got there, and he's got the option of changing the team without weakening it. He's got cover in every position. And it's that, for me, is telling us we're going in the right direction, because you know, it's easy to have a strong starting 11, but you do pick up injuries, you do pick up a little bit of loss of form, you do pick up suspensions. You've got to have those replacements for those positions that aren't going to weaken the team, and we're certainly getting that now. And I cannot wait till everyone's fit and the options that the manager has. You know, one of them for me personally is, which I'm excited about, does he pair Alexander Isaac with Callum Wilson? Does he do that? Does he change a formation and put those two together? That would send panic, and I would think in opposition's defence, when you've got two players with pace, power, they want to get in behind, and they both want to score goals. So I'm excited, Steve. I've got to say, I'm really looking forward to when everyone is fit. I hope there is that occasion when everyone's fit, and you look and you see the starting 11 and it's really strong. Then you look at the bench and you think, well, you know, and you've got it when you've got that, and you're thinking the game's a bit tight, and you just turn around and you look at those options. You might have St. Maximum, Joelinton. If he only keeps with the one striker, you might have Alexander Isaac to come off the bench. Young Elliot Anderson's been outstanding in his cameo appearances. So you've got all these options for you, you know, and then obviously he's got the defensive restriction, what he can do there, you know, if he's got target stuff like this, you know.
Yeah. I mean, strength and depth in the squad is something we haven't had for a long time. So, you know, we do need it. It was great last week to see Bruno coming off and the SM going on. And that suggests what we could have moving forward with transfer windows. And that segues nicely into Bruno. Big debate going on, Lee. I'm sure you'll have seen it. The Evening Chronicle running that poll this week. Ross Gregory, who was on Tuesday, was the man behind it. And it's the best midfielder that Newcastle have ever had. It was, and I'm not sure whether the results have come out yet, but Bruno was in there, and I was asked at the start of the week, is Bruno a legend? I went, well, no, he's not. He could be a legend, but he hasn't played enough games for me. And for me, you know, there's been some great players yourself. There's been Rob Lee. There's been Gary Speed. There's been so many great midfielders over the years that I've seen. And even the more modern day ones, I guess Johan Gabai probably stands out. Is he a legend though? For me, no. So Bruno, what's your take on this? Is it a bit too early to be, you know, throwing the word legend around?
Well, it depends on. There'll be people say, well, it doesn't matter. They can quickly make themselves a legend, or they have to be there for a period of time. What I will say is, there's no doubt he's going to be. There's no doubt he's going to be one of the best ever midfield players to play for the club, if not the best, over a period of time. You've just rattled off a few names. Then we had Paul Gascoigne playing for us in midfield, who without the knee injury, I'll always say this, and if people disagree with me, I cannot see how he doesn't get that knee injury in the FA Cup final. He goes to Lazio and becomes the best player in the world. He was on the verge of that after Italia 90. And Paul didn't play first team football at Newcastle for a long time either. As you say, you've got the Kabais, you know, Czech Tiotis, Rob Lees, David Batty, Gary Speed, sensational footballer. You know, so you've got them. You go back to the eras of Terry Hibbett and stuff like that, Terry McDermott. You know, but this guy, I've got to say, I love watching him play. People who maybe follow us on Instagram, there was a debate done by BBC and said who's the better Bruno between Bruno Fernandes and Bruno Guimarães, and I got involved and said, sorry, there's only one winner. And that was, if anyone's seen it, I think all the Brazilian flags that I put at the end of it showed where my vote was good. And that's not because of the bias, because I'm a Newcastle fan. This guy can do everything. I think he was done a disservice when he come and people was pigeonholing him as a defensive midfield player. He's got a great work ethic. He does do the defensive side of the game, but he's got great athleticism, so he can get up and down the pitch. He scores important goals. He's got a good return of goals for a midfield player, but his passing range is just sensational. He can put the ball through the proverbial eye of a needle. And if you're a central midfield player and you're doing that, you're opening things up. You can pass it in behind for the pace we have for the wide players. You can play it down the sides. He plays that little give and go. And I know Miggy had a lot to do with Fulham with the volley, but he plays those type of little passes that create those opportunities. So, I mean, listen, in today's world with the social media and how things go, you're always going to get these polls and debates. But like you said, it's all on personal opinion. How long does it take you to become a legend? How long do you have to stay at that football club to be a legend of the club? This guy can be anything he wants. For me, I love watching him play. He's absolutely brilliant. And the problem we're going to have when you have top players is the other top clubs will want them. And I've got no doubt that I don't even worry every day when I see different clubs are linked to him, and especially this Real Madrid story never goes away. Well, of course Real Madrid will want him. Bayern Munich will want him. Liverpool will want him. Chelsea will want him. I know we beat Arsenal with signature. Man City would want him. I think if you went and asked all these managers, of course they would, because he's top class footballer. And so, you know, he is an important player for us. I think what looks good for us, he's got a brilliant relationship with the supporters, and he looks like he enjoys playing for the club. And as long as we can continue going upwards and be ambitious, which I've got no doubt we can, I think he'll want to hang around for a long time, because if he's part of that group of players which potentially can win its first trophy since '69, and that group of players go down as legends themselves, and that would speed up that process without a doubt.
Yeah, okay, great stuff. Keep your questions coming in. Still got 25 minutes of the show to go. Big Billy says, ask Lee Clark about his time in Scotland with Kilmarnock. Great time up there, wasn't it? You enjoyed it?
Loved it. Great, yeah. Probably me regret that I left when I got headhunted to come back down south with Berry. So having a great time. I loved the people. I loved the, the honesty of the players. It's great to be back up there through the week when I went to Glasgow to watch my son, obviously, and then on to Ibrox. And it was a great time. Still look out for the results. Lived in a lovely part of the world, Troon, which is obviously golfer's heaven. And it was a great time for me. And as I said, made many friends, great people. Getting the chance to manage at Celtic in front of 65,000, Ibrox 52, so as I was coming out of Ibrox, I was with a friend of mine, we're chatting, and got onto that debate about Rangers and Celtic coming down south and playing in the Premier League, because we think it could enhance it because of the stadium, the numbers they get. But then you've got the old adages, where do you put them in? Where do they start if they come into the English pyramid? Because I just think it's going to be a vicious circle for those two clubs, because they cannot attract the real top players because of the finances that it takes. But if they were in the Premier League and getting the finances that the other clubs do, because of the support they have and the size they are worldwide, they could be strong forces. And I think the other Premier League clubs and supporters would love that. I'm sure Newcastle fans would love going up to Glasgow twice a season to play Rangers and Celtic, and just being up the road. As I said, the massive organisation's a good friend of ours, Alan Thompson. He's just flying to Australia this weekend to do some work for Celtic, to tell you how big they are, going to the side of the world to meet fans there. So yeah, Scottish football got its knockers, but I think, when I was up there, it opened my eyes and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, John says, hello everyone. Lee, stacks of fans can't stand Sunderland and want them to struggle. I love the derbies and I want them promoted. I think we might have a chance. What's your view? They've had a mixed bag of results in recent weeks, but they got off to a pretty good start, didn't they, Lee?
Yeah, listen, I've always said it. The derbies are great games. I want them back. There's no better feeling when you win a derby match, and you want them, the build up to the game, the pressure, the enjoyment of beating your local rivals. You'll have Newcastle and Sunderland fans that work together. I do enjoyed playing in them, enjoyed being a part of them, enjoyed the build up. It's a game that the performance doesn't matter, it's the result. That's all that matters. Listen, obviously, Newcastle fans and other fans, when you've got your rivals, they do gloat in seeing them struggle, and go down the leagues, as Sunderland did. So I just think, get them back, get Middlesbrough back in, have another local game for the fans. Makes it a bit easier than trying to go to Fulham when there's no trains on, etc. So yeah, get them on for me, definitely.
Definitely, yeah, I'd love the derbies back as well. Geordie Toombalay says, does Lee still keep in touch with Steve Watson? He says, I loved seeing them play together, more so because they are Geordies.
Every day we speak. Most days we see each other. He's back up in the northeast. He's a huge friend of mine. Before we got together at Newcastle, 6-7 years of age, godfather to my children. Same with me with his boy. So yeah, we keep in touch regular. So it's we'll always have that relationship with Alan as well. Thompson, the three of us. Before we got together at Newcastle, as I say, we grew up together as young kids, and that friendship will always stay strong,
Great stuff. Next question is from Vince. He says, ask Lee, have you ever seen a turnaround in a player, as we have seen in Joelinton?
No, I just thought about it. It's a phenomenal turnaround, and I don't know, Steve, you'll probably know better than me, but I would say when he was trying to play, one, it was a crazy decision to give the number 9.
It was.
Whoever thought that was a good idea, when they sat in the meeting, you know, they should have their heads looked at, because it was absolutely ridiculous. But that wasn't the boys' fault. Two, you probably, as I say, know better to say that when he was playing as a striker or this potential wide, he was probably getting ridiculed a little bit and getting a bit of stick, you know, for the money that was paid. And that's not his fault either. But now when Eddie came in and put him in that midfield position, it's just been, wow. He looks like he's played there all his career. He's got every attribute for a modern day footballer. He can get up and down. He's physical. He's strong. He's powerful. He can run with the ball. He can see a pass. He's athletic. So yeah, no, listen, the turnaround has been absolutely phenomenal, and I think that's been noticed by not just Newcastle fans. That's been noticed by football pundits around the country, other fans, to see what's been achieved with him. And then that's credit to the lad as well. That shows you he's got fight. He's got spirit. He never gave up. So brilliant.
Yeah, no, exactly, mate. 100%. Craig says, do you fancy a role at the club? It's always a dream, isn't it, to come back and work at Newcastle for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, the doors have been reopened in terms of the past from every era. The new owners have been fantastic with all of them. And it's a pleasure to be in the round there again. You know, for some ridiculous reason, that wasn't the case with the previous regime. Unless you backed what was happening, and I was never going to back what was happening. So you know, there was only a handful of players who done that and got in there. So it's brilliant, and you know, I would, if anyone wanted me to do anything in terms of helping the football club, I would 100%.
What's your favourite Tyne-and-Wear derby memory? Says Keith.
Wow. There's many. There's the one at St James's, which really should have got called off before it started, when Scott Seller scored the free kick, when it just torrential rain, the pitch, the ball could hardly move, but because it was a derby match kicking off at 12 noon on a Sunday and it was live on TV, I think those factors made the police and the relative organisations put it on. And I remember we were in the dressing room, Terry Butcher being manager of Sunderland, and shouting, and he had shouts where the SAS were coming in, we're doing the job and we're getting out, and we were just laughing. You were a far superior side. The one at Stroker, where there was apparently no Newcastle fans allowed, but when we scored, there was bodies jumping up and down. Were you there?
I was there.
I would have thought so. That was amazing. That was because you could just see little scuffles breaking out all over Roker Park, where there's obviously the Liam O'Brien over the wall in our promotion season as well. That was when we'd done the double. And then obviously 0-1, that proved to be my last start for Newcastle, mine and Alan's, and we went up winning 4-1 under the late Glenn Roeder. You know, going there. This is what the example is when I was talking. I didn't particularly have a good game, and I was carrying this groin injury that I put off getting surgery on because Emery got this knee out, put this groin injury off, and I didn't play particularly well on the day, but Glenn made some good substitutions and we went on to win the game. And people were like, and Glenn's apologised to me in the past about this, and I was like, Glenn, you made the right decision. All that worried me wasn't my personal performance or what happened or my personal ego. I just wanted to be on the winning team. That's all that mattered. And that's when I said performance didn't matter. It's a result in the derby matches. No one remembers a great performance, and if you've lost the game, all that remembers the result. So it was electric after that game when we won 4-1. So yeah, I think I'm one of the lucky players, Steve. I've never lost a Tyne-and-Wear derby, so I've got lots of good memories. So because that would be one of the lowest of the low. I would imagine that is a horrendous feeling if you've lost one of those games, because it's all about the support, isn't it? You don't want to let those fans down, and you don't want to make those fans having to go into work and be ridiculed by the Sunderland fan work colleagues and stuff like that. So that's why I like them. The pressure's on. You know, there's lots of different things, and that come them. I remember watching in the early 90s, before I broke into the team, the infamous semi-final playoff when they done us over 2 legs. I think what happened, I think players and fans alike got a little bit overconfident because we come from Roker Park with a 0-0. John Burridge had saved the penalty, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone thought, oh, well, we're going back to St James's, this is job done, but it wasn't to be. So that was a one really hurt. My early memories of Peter on New Year's Day scoring that hat-trick. That was fantastic. So yeah, they're good games to be involved in.
Yeah, they are fantastic. Okay, Newcastle United travel to Old Trafford tomorrow for a 2:00 non-televised kickoff against Manchester United. They're going to be wearing the green and white strip tomorrow. At the press conference yesterday, Eddie Howe confirmed that Darlow, Shelvey and Ritchie all remain out. Isak is making progress, but probably won't feature in any of the 3 games Newcastle play this week. Manchester United, well, their injury doubts over Harry Maguire, Donny van de Beek, Wan-Bissaka and Brandon Williams, and there'll be a late call made on Anthony Martial. McTominay is suspended, but Ronaldo is available, and our on-loan goalkeeper Martin Dubravka is ineligible to play because he is, of course, facing his parent club. As for the referee, it is Craig Pawson, which is a quick return for this referee. He was in charge of our 1-1 home draw against Bournemouth last month. And on VAR, which has certainly been working in our favour in recent times, it's Jared Gillette. As always, we have our tune Stato to set the scene for this game.
Hello and greetings from Belgrade, Serbia, where Newcastle famously played Partizan in Europe twice more than 20 years ago. Happy birthday also to our dear Mitch. So, Manchester United on Sunday. We have played 54 times in the Premier League and Newcastle has only won 7. And when it comes to games at Old Trafford, actually Newcastle have only 2 wins in the last 50 years. One in 1972 and one 9 years ago, back when Cabaye scored the winning goal against David Moyes' Man United. Actually, the last manager of Newcastle to get away with a point at Old Trafford was Steve McLaren back in 2015. Since then, we have lost 5 in a row, but every time Newcastle has scored at least once. Now, when it comes to players, Cristiano Ronaldo famously scored his first ever career hat-trick against Newcastle, and he has 7 goals in his last 3 games against us. Kieran Trippier, on the other hand, is leading the Premier League for chances created from set pieces, 11, but remarkably he registered his first assist for Newcastle only last week when he assisted Bruno for his first goal against Brentford. So the odds are not supporting Newcastle, but I believe it's time we break the duck at Old Trafford and let's see what happens on Sunday. Cheers, Howe lads.
Great stuff, always from Andre. And if you're going down, here's Scunny Mag with a few updates on what you can find down there.
Hi folks, Paul here with your quick away guide for Man United. If you're driving in, there's lots of car parks around the ground. Some of them you need to pre-book, some of them you don't. They're around about £10. It's very congested getting out, which makes my favourite the Lowry Mall in Salford Quays. It's just over the footbridge and like 10 minutes walk to the ground. The postcode for that is M50 3AH, and it is going to cost you under £5 for 3 hours, so you need to arrive close to the match, unless you opt for the validation method. Spend £5 in the mall, get your receipt validated, you get 4 hours of free parking. So you get an extra hour, a little less stress, and you can get some beers in the mall, even better. Excellent. Parking for the price of some cans. The beauty of that one is it's straight out back onto the ring road and you avoid all of the traffic at the other side of the river. For those arriving by train, you'll probably come into Piccadilly. There are a couple of pubs around there. In fact, there's loads of pubs around there. But there's a couple that are specifically set up for away fans on match days. The Green Sports Bar and the Waldorf are 2 that are listed. You'll find them really easy. Follow all the black and white shirts out of the train station and listen for the singing. It's probably, if it was me, I would stay there drinking and singing until near the game and then head up to the ground. But if you want to get closer, there are a few pubs around the ground. There's a Wetherspoons right nearby. It's mainly packed with Man United fans because it's a Wetherspoons and it's right nearby. But it is listed as away friendly. You probably won't get in with football colours, but if you turn up with any accent from the world, they'll probably think you're a Man United fan, including Geordie or Chinese or whatever. The what 3 words for that is Luxury Tins Jungle, and the postcode is M32 0SF. 2 a little bit further out, probably better. The Gorse Hill, it's on Chester Road. Postcode is M32 0PA, and your what 3 words is Milky Upset Demand. And the Quadrant, found on a big roundabout with some shops nearby, is M32 8GR, and your what 3 words is Locals Offers Fresh. And once you're done drinking, get yourself up to the ground. The away end is on the east corner as the ground's laid out, and your what 3 words is my favourite what 3 words I've ever come across, because it just happens to be the most Geordie sounding what 3 words there is. So I'm going to do my drunk Geordie accent. It is proper sticky mint, and I think that's excellent. That's it. All there's left to say is have a great day. Let's hope we smash them, and see you for the next one. Thanks. Bye.
Scunny Mag, always enjoy your input. Toon Stato, Andre, thanks very much as well. So, you heard what Toon Stato had to say, Lee. It's not a happy hunting ground. And I was with Super Mac last week, and he was in the team that got beat off Hereford in the Cup, the invasion of the Parkers, but then went to Old Trafford and beat them 2-1. So, you know, we've waited a long time for this day to come. Is it going to come this weekend as far as you're concerned?
I'm 100% confident it will, Steve. I think we've got the ammunition in the team to go and hurt them. I've seen a lot of Man United this season. They've been up and down. I wasn't totally impressed with them on Thursday night against Simone and Nicosia, the minnows there. I know they had a lot of attempts, and the goalie for the opponent came out as man of the match, but that should be the case, and they shouldn't have to be worrying about a 93rd minute winner from McTominay. I think that they're quite poor defensively, and if we can get our attacking game going, like I said, I think Eddie's going to go on the front foot. I think we can get the result. I don't think there's that fear factor at Old Trafford anymore, I've got to say. I think players still love going there. It's still a fantastic venue, but I think they go there with the belief that they can win, whereas in the past you were hoping you maybe could get a draw or something like that, you know, so you knew it was going to be an extremely tough game. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's not going to be easy, no game is in the Premier League, and you know they still have some talented players, but I just do think in the defensive areas of that team, where we're strong in the attacking areas as well, we could really hurt them. And looking forward to it, to be honest. Yeah, looking forward to it.
I've just got to ask you, as a manager, I mean, you know, it's always difficult keeping that balance, keeping people happy. And Newcastle, 2 wins on the trot, 9 goals scored, 2 conceded. A few people I've seen on social media, you know, it's easy to criticise when you're not in Eddie Howe's position. But Dan Burn, centre half, Sven Botman, centre half, 2 left footers. I think I've yet to see Botman play with his right, so I'm still convinced they're both left-footed, although they say that he can play with both feet. You know, he's going to have to make a decision at some point, is he? Is this the game where he brings in a left-back and brings in Target? I listened to Eddie Howe's press conference yesterday, and he was questioned on it by the media, and he said, you know, that Target had taken ill at Fulham. He was on the bench, of course, but Dan Burn came in, and results speak for themselves. We've won both games. What would you do as manager? Take it away from Eddie Howe. What would you do? Because would you go 3 games unchanged, or are you looking at Man United and going, well, this is a different test. It's at Old Trafford, and maybe we need a bit more pace on that left back situation. What's your views?
Well, it's extremely tough, isn't it? Like you said, sometimes, you know, when you speak to players, when you go to Fulham, you get a 4-1 result, and then you get a 5-1 at home. You're solid defensively, and the players are playing well themselves individually, which more importantly, they're playing well as a group. Do you want to change that? It'll all be dictated by the result, innit? I mean, if he keeps Dan Burn in, we get the result. It's a masterstroke. If he keeps him in, we lose. We should have put Matt Target in. I think that's the downside of having all these good players, isn't it? Because people know that these lads who aren't good can come in the team and still make us as good as we are with the lads that are there. So, yeah, listen, he hasn't been afraid to change winning teams in the past. He's made decisions, before about changing teams that have won, and they went on to win that game as well when he's made changes. So it's a tough one. He'll be seeing it in training. He'll be judging. He'll be looking at what Man United possess, where their strengths are, what they like in the wide areas. So, are they going to be a threat? Is Dan going to get exposed? I mean, I've got to say there hasn't been a lot of times when he's played at left back, from what I've seen, where he's been, his lack of really explosive pace has been shown up, because I think he's played a good defensive position. He's got himself into good positions. He hasn't put himself in danger where he's going to get in a race with somebody. But Target, obviously, is an out and out left back, and has done tremendously well. Listen, I think all options are open. I've done it both ways, Steve, and I've done it and they've worked, and they've done it when they haven't. So you've kept the same team because you want continuity and players getting a rhythm, they play with each other and the system's working, they're full of confidence. And then it goes bang, you don't get the result and you get criticised, you should have freshened it up. But then you continue, you go on another, you get another win. And then I've done it where I've changed it. I once, as a Huddersfield manager, we beat Brighton 7-1 on a Tuesday night. And I brought a player in from Manchester United that morning. So I put him on the bench of the 7-1 result against Brighton. A lad called Danny Drinkwater, who went on to become a Premier League winner with Leicester. And we put him on with 20 minutes to go. I think he was involved in a couple of goals after we were 5-1 up, the sixth goal and the seventh goal. And I remember sitting in the staff meeting, we're playing Bristol Rovers on the Saturday. And I sat in the staff meeting and I said, I'm going to start Drinkwater. And I remember Terry McDermott and Derek Frizzackley looked at me as if I was some kind of idiot. And they were like, what's your reasons? We've just won 7-1. You can kind of change a team that's just won 7-1. And I just thought, no, this player can take us to another level. I've seen him in training. I've seen him in his little cameo appearance, even though the game was done, we're 5-1 up. And I just thought, no, I can see this guy, he's at another level of the players we've got. And we won the game 2-0 the following game. And it wasn't until after the game where you realised the risk that you took. Because if that had backfired and we lost the game, I would have been absolutely battered for changing a team that had won 7-1. So it's things that you see on the training pitch sometimes as well, like dictated, or what you see when you're analysing the opponent.
Yeah.
And I think all these things, it's hindsight, isn't it? People will only comment after the event, really. If Eddie Howe sticks with the same team, I think before the game, people say, brilliant, he's kept the same team. We've had 2 great wins, scored 9 goals. But then if the result goes against, why didn't Target? Why did such and such? It's what the game's about. It's the results, isn't it? And if you don't, you open to criticism.
The good thing is we're not having to worry about relegation. That's the main thing. I'm going 2-2, Lee. What's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2 clear goals. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1.
Lee, as always, been an absolute pleasure, mate. Have a great weekend, mate, and looking forward to seeing you very, very soon, mate. Thanks for coming back on.
Great to be back, Steve. Cheers, pal. All the best.
Take care, pal. Bye-bye. A big thanks to our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Darren Baldwin Funerals, based on Old Durham Road in Gateshead. Their phone number is 0191 478 2730. You can email Darren at darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk or go to the website darrenbaldwinfunerals.co.uk. Thanks to Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialists based on Nunn Street. The GOHD.com is their website. And thanks again to 3 Property Investments, who specialise in sourcing investment properties for their clients who are looking to invest in the North East. They offer a full in-house service from sourcing the deals to managing the properties for you. They've done over 100 plus deals in the past 12 months for clients all over the UK. Give them a follow on Instagram, matty.patter_northeast property and phil.reed_northeast property, or email phil@3property.co.uk if you're interested in getting a good property deal. Thanks to the lads at Mr. Vicky's Handmade in Cumbria. These are hot sauces and you can find them at mrvickys.co.uk or place an order by ringing 01768 210 102. Thanks also to the lads at Blowhole Brewery, a fine amount of ales available from their website, www.blowholebrewery.co.uk. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video technology. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. If you want to subscribe, hit the badge in the corner and you can subscribe for free. Still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify and the rest. And if you want to become a member, click join underneath this video, or you can put your smartphone over the QR code. It will take you to the membership section of the website. If you choose to go that way, then you will get a pen, a cup, a scarf and a membership card and entry into the monthly draw for a one-off payment of £25. We also give you something for free. If you want a car window sticker, email john@nufcmatters.com and he will send you one if you are a subscriber. We also help the food bank on here. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is the matchday bucket. If you go there, you can make a virtual donation at any time of the year. And don't forget, Peter Beardsley Soccer School, October half term, Monday the 24th to Friday the 28th of October. You can book now, peterbeardsley.soccerschool.com. Peter's also running Monday night training on the 26th of October. Again, the same website. And if you want to meet Peter Beardsley, well, you've got 3 chances. Newcastle Legends game, Friday, October the 14th. The Peter Beardsley talk-in is taking place after the game. Tickets for this are available from NUFCmatters.com. Adult admission is £5, junior admission is £2. The talk-in is adults only, and that is a tenner. And the events are all taking place at the Fox Hunters Pavilion in North Shields. We've got Peter Beardsley available, tickets available for the St Dom's Catholic Club show. You need to go straight to their website and you just buy your tickets there. And for this one at the Irish Centre, tickets are available now on NUFCmatters.com. Don't forget, Supermax at the Dog and Parrot, every pre-match and every post-match, every home game. And John Gibson and John Anderson are at Pumphrey's pre-match only. If you did like our true crime stuff, it has all migrated to the True Crime channel. So get yourself across there on YouTube and subscribe today.